Before we get started, I did have the governor on my program. He said a lot of things about you, blamed you for crime and homelessness, and I was wondering if you had a response to any of that.
Yeah, well, let me just state up front, crime's down in every category. So let's just talk about data. I won't get into it with the governor too much. We'll talk about data. Crime down in every category, even from last year to this year. And so if the governor wants to make this about the policy of the city was different last year as related to tribes and everything else. Crime's down this year from last year, so that's number one. I think number two, I served with the governor for 6 years when I was in the legislature, so a two-term governor. In 2023, you go check your own record, don't take my word for it, got rid of the Interagency Council on Homelessness. Said at the time, we won't be building houses for folks. Had no interest in housing people. So he did that, not me, this is Governor Stitt. 2024, vetoed the bill that would have increased pension benefits for law enforcement. Somebody who supports police officers vetoed that bill. The legislature had to override it. And one of, I think, 50 some odd that we did that year when I was in the legislature. So I'm not gonna listen to the criticism of somebody who spent his career saying what we're not gonna do to support people who are in house, because we're dealing with the impact of that. We are, Oklahoma City is, place all across the state dealing with that impact. I'm also not gonna be lectured by somebody who showed what he thinks about folks who have served in law enforcement their entire careers. And so what we can talk about, what I would love to talk to the governor about, is how the state wants to partner with us and address the issues that we see here. I've been mayor for 8 months. He's been governor for 7 years. So if we think about who truly has shown a disinterest in dealing with the issues facing Oklahomans, I think his record's longer than mine is. And today, this week, we're gonna be talking about moving money to house 300 folks and provide them the supports they need, because we inherited a problem that has been here for a long time. And we're working with people at every level of government who want to be part of the solution. All across this community who want to be part of the solution. It would be nice if we had a governor who was one of those folks who want to be part of the solution.
I got some messages from some of your supporters who said, I feel like Stitt is talking about the city of Tulsa the way Donald Trump talks about Washington, D.C. Are you at all concerned there might be some kind of power grab here with your police department, where there could be some kind of takeover? Is that even possible?
I don't know if it's possible, but what I would say is that the one thing that I know, and I say this with all due respect to the governor, I don't think he'd be a very good mayor. So I'll say that. I'd also say that, again, if we look at the facts show us that everything is going in the right direction for us now. We got a lot of work to do. I've been very clear, we got a lot of work to do. 2 years ago, homelessness grew 23% in the city of Tulsa. This most recent data from the point in time count, it grew, but it grew at 4%. So there's some plateauing of the challenge. Now with the work that we're doing, we're gonna start driving it down. I mentioned the crime stats are down. Those things are down. So what the state could do, the state could help us invest and make sure we continue to see that trend going in the right direction. One area they could really help us out on is getting some stability as it relates to mental health funding. That has been an absolute just terrible what you've seen at the mental health agency as far as the resources there. So if I tell you biggest driver of crime in this community, homelessness, a lot of other things, it's mental health related issues, and we have so much instability in how this state's going to invest in it. And so that's not a criticism, it's just a fact. And so again, I think what would be nice is that if the governor maybe just get a little educated on what cities are doing to meet challenges that he's been not necessarily interested in solving. I get he has a perspective on the policy of the city as it relates to working with tribal nations, but that's separate and apart. And if we're talking about this issue in particular, tribes have built houses. Tribes have invested in mental health services. Tribes have actually led the way when the state would not. This is an opportunity for everybody who's an elected official or a public official in the state of Oklahoma to come together to meet a need. And I imagine, I understand the governor wants to be, maybe is seeking a higher office, and that's probably why some of this is coming up. But if you want to seek a higher office, maybe solve a problem or two as a way you can go to Iowa and talk about the good things you've done in Oklahoma.
Have you reached out to or had any progress on the Cherokee Nation or the Osage Nation having a similar agreement like you had with the Creek?
So the Osage Nation, you don't necessarily need one because the McGirt and O'Brien only really apply to Muskogee and Cherokee Nation as it relates to who would prosecute a particular case. So we've been working with both of them very, very well. So I don't have any complaints. There was a ton of work to do, a lot of technical challenges, a lot of things that we have raised as real concerns, and we're going to continue to work through those things. So for me, what we saw on the framework for the settlement that we submitted to the court really kicked off a 8-month planning process to work through some of those challenges. Our hope is, and what would be better, is if the state would be a part of that, right? This is about making Tulsa safe. And as it relates to the particular settlement, if you think about it, the case that was out in front of the court that we were getting ready to go to the Supreme Court on could end only like it can end a couple ways. And one of those ways is that the tribes could have sole jurisdiction, or we could still have concurrent jurisdiction. Either way, it was going to force us to figure out a better system than we have today. It's exactly what we're doing. It's going to make Tulsa a lot safer of a city. It's not a political battle for me. It's just what is going to make this community safer over the long haul. We've proven in half a year, we know a little bit about public safety. That's going to continue on as long as I'm mayor.
On the public safety note, non-tribal, there's even some people in Broken Arrow. This seems nonpartisan. People are upset about this OHP transition.
Yeah.
What are you preparing? I mean, it sounds like a solution will not come from the legislature until the spring.
Yeah.
What are you telling folks about what's coming in November?
I mean, here's the deal. I firmly believe we have the best trained police department in the country, and we are very frustrated about it. It's going to put a strain on our ability to do all the other things that we have to do in this city, but we'll get it done. Again, I have to say, for somebody so concerned about public safety in Tulsa, Oklahoma, to pull the highway patrol out of the community when between us and Oklahoma City, which is the areas he's trying to take OHP out of, I don't know where more traffic goes through on a daily basis between those two communities in the state of Oklahoma. So what I would tell citizens is, yeah, it's going to cause a strain on our resources, but we're going to get the job done, and that's what we do every day. Doesn't matter who the governor is, doesn't matter what their politics is. We'll work with our partners all across this region to make sure we keep Northeast Oklahoma safe, and that's really all that I can say. The governor didn't talk to me about this before he made the decision to do it. I know there's a AG's opinion that is imminent, and we'll be watching. But no matter what happens, the sky is not going to fall in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're going to make sure people are safe on the highways. It's going to cause a strain on resources and our ability to do other things. We're going to get the job done.
I want to read you some headlines. You announced back in June the road to repair, and I'm worried the way it was reported, everybody just went into their corners because every headline here, reparations, reparations, reparations. Everybody heard that word, and then they went into their corners. How do you respond to so many people just reading the headline, making the assumption that you're handing out cash here?
Well, I think the big thing is that we don't run this office based on headlines. It's about the work that's done in the in-between time. And when it comes to the Greenwood Trust, I mean, it is a private charitable trust. We've been very clear about that. We've been very clear about what it's going to do, so much so that the Republican Club here in Tulsa is actually supportive of the Greenwood Trust. And so we're not a headlines administration necessarily. We're all about the work, and the work of the Greenwood Trust is to build a private charitable trust that's going to invest itself in affordable housing and housing overall. It's going to invest itself in business grants and no interest loans, invest itself in scholarships and cultural landmarks, so that all Tulsans, no matter what part of town you come from, no matter what color you are or anything like that, we can all be a part of building back what was a special part of our community. It's no different than what we do all across the city. The Greenwood District and the legacy of Black Wall Street was one of the special stories about this city for a very, very long time because of the massacre. It was a story that was largely untold. And as I said when I announced the Greenwood Trust on June 1st, there's not one person in this community that wouldn't be better off had the massacre not happened. And so we don't have to worry about what other people write about things, or we don't have to go in our corners. I think what you have found, at least I believe it's true, I don't go around town and people are frustrated about that or angry about that. Most people are trying to figure out how they might be able to help. And I think it's a whole different conversation we're having as a community. I feel like it's been more of a uniting force. I think anytime you do something relate it to anything regarding race, some people will try to boil it down to its most kind of their most basic understanding of an issue, which is always, kind of cheats us of really what something is about. The Greenwood Trust, from the very start, we've been very clear about. I'm very excited about it, and I think most people around this community and around the country share that level of excitement and enthusiasm.
I've been meaning to ask you this. I should have asked you about it last time we talked, but there has always been chatter on social media about, since the Republicans control City Council 5-4, we should have partisan elections again. I had no idea you and Karen were both Democrats. I feel duped is what a lot on the right are saying. Sure. What happens to that resolution? Do you believe we keep elections nonpartisan?
I don't know. I mean, that's probably more of a question for counselors, or if folks want to put something on a ballot. To me, it's 6 one way, half dozen another. I don't think people were confused about my partisan affiliation. I think people, even if they were, I think we ran a campaign talking about issues. We talked about ending homelessness. We talked about improving student outcomes. We talked about economic development. We talked about public safety. We talked about getting out of the courtroom when it came to tribes. What have we done? Whether you're Democrat or Republican, what have we done? This week we'll announce $6 million to get folks off the streets as part of our broader plan to end homelessness by 2030. We created the Office of Children, Youth, and Families, focused on getting 15,000 additional kids on a pathway to economic mobility, and are building a coalition of folks around the community to do just that. We have not only, there's some things we can't announce, but we have active projects that would add, I believe, the ones that we feel very confident we're going to get, somewhere in the neighborhood of 5,000 jobs in this community. And we got economic development projects coming up in North Tulsa, East Tulsa, South Tulsa, Midtown, and we've got projects all over the community. I talked to you about the crime stats. We're better even than we were last year at this time. In the last 6 weeks, we've got 158 guns out of the hands of people who are shooters. We've made about 87 felony arrests of folks who needed to be behind bars. We have a 100% solve rate as it relates to public safety, and the next police academy we have coming in is expected to be the largest we've had pre-pandemic. All of that, while we also did what we said we were going to do by getting out of the courtroom. Democrat or Republican, we came in, we started doing the things we said we were going to do.
I know we're running out of time, but I know the Public Safety Center is still being worked on.
Yep.
But you have a downtown crime problem. The curfew seems to be working somewhat. Do you think you need like an outpost in downtown?
We already have one.
You're going to keep, okay.
We have one on Main Street.
And that stays as the we are here.
Absolutely. We're going to continue to maintain that there. I think we're going to have some partnerships maybe with some other law enforcement agencies. I mean, the reality is downtown for us, we import so much in the way of people and traffic every single day, whether folks are coming to work or people to come to see a ball game or a show at the BOK Center. So we bring that in every single day, and so keeping a strong presence downtown is going to be a maintained focus that we have for us.
I was wondering because I know Gilcrease Division is there, but it's still a drive.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I think it's really important, just because I said, I mean, the population downtown grows considerably during the week. Weekdays, probably 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then if we have some sort of event downtown, that number of folks down here continues to stay really consistent. So for us, we're always going to make sure we maintain that law enforcement presence down here, along with the mental health related services that we have through some of the alternative response investments we've made with the fire department and mental health professionals. So I feel really good about our ability to continue to work there. It is a challenge. Look, if you think about Tulsa, second largest city in the state, we got over 400,000 people living here. We got a lot of folks who need a little bit of a direction change. We got a lot of folks who would be perpetrators of crime. It's a really dynamic thing. We got mostly, though, everybody down here is just coming to go to work, go to eat, enjoy their time, making sure that we can provide that pathway in a very kind of dynamic setting is something that I think we do very, very well every day. In fact, we now, I think, are somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 homicides this year, which is 30 more than I would ever want us to ever have, but it's a function of living in a big city. But if we were to look at almost all of those, with maybe the exception of 2, maybe the exception of none of them, we'll see once the investigations wrap up, all done by somebody who knew the person that they victimized. We don't have a ton in the way of random violent crime in this community. We got a real challenge with people who don't understand how to settle their beefs. We got a real challenge with people and the availability of dangerous firearms. And so I think we really have to work through that. The biggest issue we have are domestic issues that we're having to respond to. We continue to do a better and better job of that. But at the end of the day, while we do have things that hit the headlines, and I'm not ignorant of those, and we're working every day to mitigate those, we're not a city where a bunch of random crime happens to people. It happens, but it does not happen very often at all. And so we want to continue to see that downward trend and hopefully do things that can begin to help people understand how to have healthier relationships with the people that they know, because those most oftentimes are the folks who are going to victimize you.